want the PowerPoint presentation, I can email it to you later. Just send me a message. Because I really want you to concentrate on thinking and using your brain. And that's what this entire webinar is really about, is using your brain. For those of you that don't have a machine, I'm going to very quickly go through some what the machine is, what it does. But the bulk of this presentation is how to use it, okay? So let's get started. Let me see if I can figure out how to change my slide. Oh, yeah. Okay, 5 questions you must ask before using your ThermoClear. Just so you know, ThermoClear does come with a lifetime warranty. It's made in the USA. There is financing available, and we recently won the 2018 ASCP Skin Deep Reader's Choice Award. So, yay, ThermoClear. I am a licensed esthetician. I'm a spa owner in Vermont. I'm also the owner of Pro Skin Guru. I originally purchased my ThermoClear machine in 2014. I think it was April, and I was super afraid to use it. Finally, I went actually out to Colorado to train with Lorenzo, who is the original creator of this machine, and I brought a model with me and used it, and I immediately fell in love with it. I fell in love with the technology. I fell in love with the device. And when the company changed hands in 2015, because Lorenzo is retired, although he's still at all of the trade shows, he pretty much said, Jen needs to come with me. She is one of the best trainers I've ever had, which made me feel really good. And so I've been a rep and a trainer for ThermoClear since then. So what is ThermoClear? The ThermoClear, oh, how long is the webinar? About 2 hours. So get comfortable. All right. The ThermoClear offers low and high radio frequency. We can treat all skin types, including thin, aging, and sensitive skin. It is a Class 1 device manufactured by an ISO certified FDA registered facility. What does that mean? That means when you push a button and it says 150 volts, you know you're getting 150 volts out of the probe. All right? Secondly, unlike pulse light, the ThermoClear treatment only affects the top epidermal layer of the skin. Pulse light usually penetrates both the dermal and the epidermal layers, which can cause temporary or even permanent damage. So for a lot of the issues that we see on the face, this actually ends up being a better, more delicate treatment than IPL. You can treat minor, benign epidermal skin imperfections, such as spider capillaries, cherry angiomas, milia, sebaceous hyperplasia, sun and age spots, keratoses, fibromas, and skin tags. You also can treat acne pimples, blackheads, cholesterol deposits. I personally don't treat cholesterol deposits, and I'll tell you why later. Anyway, your clients will experience minimal pain, minimal downtime, and really great results. All right, there are 2 ThermoClear models, the ThermoClear and the ThermoClear Pro. They're all portable, easy to set up. They have durable metal housing, digital display with push-button controls, disposable probes that cost less than $1 each, and they precisely treat skin imperfections, not the surrounding skin. There are 2 additional features to the ThermoClear Pro, an auto-sensing, pedal-free operation, and a digital timer. The auto-sensing option is useful for those that don't want to coordinate their hand, their eye, and their foot. It offers pedal-free operation where the current turns on when it touches the skin, and it turns off when it's removed from the skin. All right, so there's that. That's one big difference. The second difference is useful when performing hair removal services. It has a timer, so what you would do is you'd set the timer. I'll get my little probe in my hand. You'd set the timer, slide the probe into the hair follicle. The timer, you set it for however many seconds you want and I don't do hair removal. So sorry, Marla, I'm not gonna be able to help you with that. So you insert it into the probe, you push on the pedal, and it'll count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds. Beep, beep, beep. You'll remove the probe and you'll pull out the hair. Hair removal is not an easy thing. There is a reason that in the state of Vermont, it's a 600-hour program. So nothing I want to do, but you can always Google to find out if there's a hair removal training class in your area. I know some states don't require a separate license. In Vermont, we do. So the biggest way for me to explain the pedal-free operation is it's like the difference between driving a manual and an automatic car. So if you're good with shifting gears, you're going to be fine with a ThermoClear, but with the ThermoClear Pro, you don't need to push the pedal unless you choose to push the pedal. Any questions about that? Looks like we're good. Okay. The benefits to using a ThermoClear device to treat your clients is there's very little to no downtime. There's minimal scabbing. It's a quick treatment. It's a very easy add-on to a facial without adding much, really any time, which translates to increased profits. It's a pinpoint accurate treatment. When you treat a spider capillary, you are treating exactly where that probe is touching. You're not treating any other area. It's a large return on your investment for, about $5,000 or $6,000. You can generate $7,500 to $15,000 with just what comes with your machine. And today I'm actually going to be offering another special deal. Let's see. It's easy to use. It only treats the epidermis. It's a Class 1 device. In most states, you can operate it as an esthetician without a medical director. I'm in Vermont, so I'm good here. I know that California is a really challenging state to work in for really anything. And I think it's either Indiana or Illinois that Florida's fine. Don't start asking me states. It's really up to you to contact your state board. But I know that California, and it's either Illinois or Indiana, has said that you have to have a medical director. Let's see, disposable one-time use probes, 100 come with the machine. Today you'll get 200 probes with your machine. Lifetime warranty, made in the USA. So Jackie, the company is located in California. She's saying she's in California. And I do think there are some things you're able to treat if you have a permanent makeup license. But honestly, I'm in Vermont and I have no clue what the laws actually say. I need to drink. Okay, let's continue. All right, so on the left is the ThermoClear. On the right is the ThermoClear Pro. Can you see this little pencil on the screen? I have no idea if you can or not. Okay, cool. So you'll see the difference between the two machines. Actually, yeah. You see how this one just has one screen, this has two screens. So this is where your timer is. And at the bottom here, this is the button you would push to be auto sensing, and you don't have that option here. So that's really the big difference. Okay, let's keep going. 5 questions you must ask before treating anyone with your ThermoClear device. It's important, first of all, to know the difference between what you can treat and what you should treat. All right, very, very important. And pay attention to how you refer to the ThermoClear results. I never say I'm removing things. I am very careful to say I'm treating things. In my opinion, and this is just an opinion, removal sounds very medical. I'm going to the doctor to have a mole removed. But we are just treating things. We're treating the skin, and then it's the skin's job to exfoliate off what we have treated. All right, so be careful with how you speak about your machine treatments. Can the ThermoClear treat moles and warts? Yes, it can. But should you treat warts and moles as an esthetician? No. This was recently a question in, I think, the Elective Desiccation for Estheticians Facebook site. It totally will treat those things, but you as estheticians should not do it. Does that mean I wouldn't do it on my boyfriend? I probably would, but certainly nothing you're going to do for money, all right? You will stay out of trouble if you stay within your scope of practice. So this means only treating benign lesions where you are 100% sure of what they are. Anything suspicious, refer to a dermatologist. always do your ABCDEs of cancer detection before treating anything, all right? When in doubt, say no. Your client, spelling mistake. Your client will respect you more for being honest with them than just being a rogue esthetician. No sounds, no. Wait, video, shit. I mean, darn. Is everyone good now? That's probably an issue on your end because I have really great internet here. Okay, good. Well, keep in mind this is recorded, so if you miss anything, go back and watch it again and see my crazy hair. All right, I don't know what I just did there. I did not touch my hair. Okay. Okay, ready. So ABCDEs of cancer detection. A, is the lesion that you're about to treat asymmetrical? If it is, do not treat it. Does it have irregular borders? If it does, don't treat it. Is the color different from one side to the other or from the inside to the outside? If it is, don't treat it. Is the diameter larger than a pencil eraser, about 6 millimeters? Don't treat it. Although, with pigmentation, treat a eraser-sized area and see how it comes out. And then treat a little bit more every single time you see that client, all right? And evolution, is it evolving? If it has been changing, ask questions to your client. Hey, how long have you had this on there? Has it changed at all in the last month or year? If the answer to that is yes, don't treat it. That's evolving. All right, stay within your work zone. We're estheticians, not doctors. As an esthetician, my work zone is the face, it's the hands, it's the back. I'll certainly do the décolleté. No legs. I've definitely done skin tags in other parts of the body. I've done a skin tag in a groin before. Actually, I've done that a few times in the underarms. Cherry angiomas I've done on the entire trunk of somebody. I've done them on the back. But when it comes to treating capillaries, people are going to undoubtedly ask you, do you do these spider veins or these veins here? No. First of all, they're on the legs. The legs don't have as many natural oils as your face does, so they just don't heal as well. It's also under the level of your heart. So once again, it just doesn't heal as well. So I would say, when in doubt, say no. All right, know your contraindications. Number one, pregnancy, if your client has a pacemaker or a heart condition. High blood pressure, and I say maybe, and here's why. When I'm treating somebody that has high blood pressure, I'll give them a 4x4 in each hand. So if I'm working on the right cheek and they start to bleed, I'll have them pad that cheek and I'll start working on their left cheek. Oops, you're bleeding, I'll have them pad that and I'll go back to this side. So high blood pressure could cause them to bleed a little bit more, but I've still treated plenty of people that have high blood pressure because guess what? Sometimes that's why they have the capillaries in the first place. All right, a bleeding disorder is very different from being on high blood pressure medications. A bleeding disorder is hemophilia, and you're not going to treat anyone that doesn't clot. All right, tendency to keloid. One of the things I like to ask my clients is, can I see a recent scar? And if they show me a scar and I say, all right, how old is that scar? If it's brand new and it looks nice and fat, then no problems. But for somebody that has any raised or keloids, don't treat them. And any medications that delay healing, some antibiotics, steroids, fish oil, some herbs. It's not necessarily a contraindication, but once again, they might bleed a little bit more. All right, I'm getting panicked Facebook messages about this, so sorry. Let me see if I can figure out how to help people get on. Can't access. Just a second. Okay. Medications. You want to know what I do? I go into WebMD. Whenever people come in with a medication, because there are 6 million names for 6 million things, and I don't know them. And that is not provided by the manufacturer. So whenever anyone comes in and they say, I'm taking one, I happen to know, warfarin, I'll look it up. And if it, in the side effects or precautions, says, can, make clotting delayed, then you'll know, okay, this person might have an issue. Also, ask your client, like, hey, so what is this medication for? If they say high blood pressure, well, right then you know that they're on blood pressure medications, which what those tend to do is delay. Yes, there will be a link that's emailed to you. It's actually not, I don't know if it's emailed, but it will be available. I'll post it on the Facebook page. I'll post it in the ThermoClear and ThermoClear users group. And I have everyone's email address, so I can certainly send the link to everyone when we're done. All right, next slide. It's important that you understand what results your clients are expecting and to manage these expectations and goals accordingly. First of all, you're going to want to explain that you can't guarantee that the results will be permanent and lasting, and that some clients will not respond to radio frequency for no apparent reason. We don't know why. Some people, they just won't respond. Sometimes you will need to treat an area multiple times in order to get the results that you and your client are looking for. I'm commonly asked if this treatment is permanent, and my answer is, I don't know, it depends. You need to keep in mind why your client has the particular issue that you're treating. Were they a sun worshiper in their younger years? They're probably going to need to be a regular ThermoClear client in order to keep treating sunspots as they appear. All right? The spots they're seeing now are damaged from years in the past. Did your client give birth and burst capillaries during the pushing phase of birth? Those capillaries will probably not reappear after the ThermoClear treatment. Does this client have allergies, or are they constantly rubbing their faces or wiping their noses or blowing their noses? These capillaries will probably need to be retreated periodically as they reform. Does that make sense? Because everyone's like, is it permanent? It just really depends. Okay, good. If you have any questions, keep feeling free to throw them in there, because this is actually kind of cool. I can answer them as they come in. All right. Talk about downtime and realistic expectations. First, and the biggest thing, what is their current sunscreen use like? What was it like in the past? So if your client comes in for a full face of pigmentation issue and they don't use sunscreen, guess what? You're going to make it worse. So you have got to drive that into your client's head. I can make this worse for you. You are going to need extremely compliant. Need to be extremely compliant. My favorite question recently was, so how long do I have to wear sunscreen for? My answer was, the rest of your life. Do you want this to slow down with its appearance? Wear your damn sunscreen, all right? Are they overexfoliating and causing repeated burst capillaries? Do they have high blood pressure? Do they have allergies? As I said, those are all things that can affect what you're seeing on their skin. Is heredity a factor? And the answer to that is yes, it is. If your mom has a whole bunch of cherry angiomas all over her skin, or if your mom has a whole bunch of spider or skin tags all over their skin, your client is probably going to have the same issues on their skin. All right? Thinner, fragile skin can take longer to treat and longer to heal. Mineral makeup can be used 24 hours after the treatment. So if they're planning on going to a wedding that weekend, probably not a great time to perform that service. My general rule of thumb for how long it may take to heal is 30 days for clients that are up to 30 years old, and then an additional 10 days for each decade older that they are. For somebody in their 40s, it'll take about 40 days to heal. For somebody in their 50s, about 50 days. All right, I'm getting more Facebook. Why is everyone having so many troubles? Sorry, everyone. I'm trying really hard to make this accessible to everyone. Oh, well, I can't find them. All right, next slide. Always, always, always have your client fill out a consent form. I don't care if it's your mother, best friend, your husband, your sister, always get consent. Your insurance company will require a signed consent form if you ever have a claim. So always require a consent form. All right, don't forget to take before and after photos. This is money in your pocket. Let me tell you what I do. These are kind of older photos. Sometimes you'll see thermal treats. So these are all some of my before and after pictures, but let me show you this next one. So what I'll often do is this one. I'll write my studio name, the phone number, the treatment, what was treated. This is now a business card. You will text this to your client, and they're going to say, oh my gosh, do you remember the skin tag I had right here? And of course, their girlfriend is going to go, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh my gosh, I have a picture. And they'll pull this up on their phone, and they'll say, check this out. It's just like your skin tag. And they can text this information to your next client. All right? Oh my goodness. Why is this so difficult? All right, hold on. Quick break. I'll be right back. Some people, instead of asking, I don't know why she's not able to join this. All right, so people that had a hard time joining this, are there any tips that I can send to these people that are having a hard time? Because I'm definitely having issues. This is kind of why I had the event start at 1:10. Yes, you can post the link. Yeah, do all of that. You just need to, yeah, it kind of seemed easy to me, but okay, yes, do whatever you need to see if you can help people get in. All right, the app I use for all of these is called PicLab. It's all one word, P-I-C, I'll actually write it down, P-I-C-L-A-B. PicLab allows you to do before and after photos. You can watermark it. I think I need to download and reload it because it gets to the point where I can't change my typing from, you see how this is black here and this is white. I couldn't, oh my God, I just wrote all over the thing. Uh-oh. I don't know how to get rid of that. Anyway, so I think I just need to re-download it. Lighting. I have an app called Mag Period Light. This is for an iPhone. Mag Period L. I think there might be a space. But just look for a magnified. I'm going to actually show you on my phone. So, oh, it's me. So there's a little spot on the side. When I click it, if I can get my finger to do it, it turns on my light. So I have consistent lighting, and I can then go ahead and adjust the little phone icon. It's way too bright to see what's going on here, but you can just click it. And then if you go to your photos, it's right there. And it gives you nice light. The other thing you can do is get, I mean, they have them on Amazon for like literally $5. They're a little selfie ring light. And you can clip that right onto your phone to take pictures. So I don't have any fancy phone. You can see sometimes my lighting is off. This was done at a show, so I wasn't trying very hard for my lighting to be good. But I find if you use the flash, it basically wipes out often what you're trying to photograph. So Mag Period Light. All right, in the ThermoLow and ThermoClear users, we're having, oh my God, if you've already registered, let me, done. Okay. Can somebody help this Cynthia Lamb? I don't know what the issue is. She's in the group having massive issues. All right. Let's keep going. Oh, as I say up here, before and after pictures equal money. You know, you've heard the saying, the proof is in the pudding. Here's the proof that this piece of equipment works. You know, this woman had a whole face of capillaries. This was, I think, July, August. This was 2 treatments to get from here to here because she has high blood pressure. This was a one-time treatment. I'll get to pricing, and if I don't remember to do this, remind me then, but Regina, I'll get to pricing a little bit later. I want to get through this stuff first. All right, let's see if I can. All right, this is actually the important part. Time to use your brains. So these are the 5 questions you need to ask before using your ThermoClear device. If you want to write these down, feel free. Who are you treating? And I'll get to all of these individually in a minute. What are you treating? Which probe do you use? The options. When do you need to use a conductor or a numbing cream? And how do I treat? That's it. If you can answer these 5 questions, you can treat anybody. You do not need the cheat sheet if you can answer these 5 questions. All right. First question, who are you treating? You need to get to know your client so you can safely treat their minor skin imperfections. So who are you treating? A lot of different skin tones out there, aren't you? Aren't there? I can't speak. You need to know the Fitzpatrick scale from 1 to 6. People that are a 1 always burn. They do not tan. They have pale white skin, blue or green eyes, blonde or red hair. These people have like no melanin in their skin. All right? People who are Fitz 2, fair skin, blue eyes, they burn easily and tan poorly. People with a Fitz 3 is a darker white skin. I'm a 3. They tan after an initial burn. They shouldn't be tanning in A, right? Fitz 4 are people with light brown skin. They burn minimally and tan easily. So I can think of Indian population, the Asian population. Indians, depending on where they're from. Several African American, I mean, there are African American skins from actually a 1, is that super famous model. I don't know what her name is, but she's a very white-skinned African American woman, all the way to the darkest, blackest skins in the world. So these people of the Fitz 4, 5, and 6 have more melanin in their skin. They burn minimally, tan very easily. Brown skin, Fitz 5, rarely burns, tans darkly, easily. People with a Fitz 6 are dark brown or black. They never, ever burn. They always darkly tan. The difference, so this is where I kind of will draw a line. Ooh. So anybody, okay, that's a terrible line. Anyone above this line? Those are the people that you can use your cheat sheet for. I don't know if you guys all have this, those of you that have the machine. This always says for intensity 150 volts. It doesn't take into account the people that have more melanin in their skin, the Fitz 4, 5, and 6. Those are the people you're going to turn the machine down for. All right? So get to know your client. Oh, goodness. Sorry, I'm still helping this woman get on. Okay. Next slide. So getting to know your client, asking them questions helps you decide which setting to use, as I just alluded to. Are you going to use the 150 volt setting, which is the preset low, or are you going to turn it down into the low frequency range? And that is super confusing, I think, for the settings of the machine. For those of you that have the machine, you know you go from 40 to 100, and those are push buttons. You go by 5 volt increments, 40, 45, 50, all the way up to 100. And then there is these presets. It's thermo low, which is 150 volts, and then there's thermo high, which is 250 volts. The thermo low is actually high radio frequency, and the thermo high is ultra high radio frequency. So sorry, massively confusing, but it'll be okay. You are going to learn which one to use anyway. So it's best to treat the lowest setting possible that will still give you a good result. And knowing which setting to use is going to come with experience. When we first train, we recommend that people stay at 90 to 100 volts all the time. As you get more comfortable with the machine, and as you see your client comes back in and you're like, oh, I know I treated that, but it didn't work very well. That is a person you're going to know you can turn the machine up a little bit for, as long as they don't have a fits of 4, 5, or 6. The ballet probes, yeah, they do. Just make sure, the real big difference between the probes, and I will get to this in a little while, is the F. That's the shank size. So if you're going to get those probes, just make sure you're getting an F. And I think they have some that are more like cutting probes, so you can use those for skin tags. I really only use the Sterex. That's what I learned on, and that's what I'm comfortable with. I have more, and I just never use them. All right. So it's always better to undertreat than overtreat. Cynthia, are you actually here? I heard a rumor that you finally were able to get in. All right, next slide. In addition to visually assessing your client's, hi Cynthia, I'm glad you're here. In addition to visually assessing your client's Fitzpatrick skin type, you need to ask pointed questions to your client about their heritage. Most people have a very diverse ethnic background and may have more melanocytes in their skin than you may guess from just looking at them. Heat stimulates melanogenesis, the formation of melanin. So if your client has a lot of melanin in their skin, or they come from an ancestry that typically has a lot of melanin in their skin, you're going to want to turn the machine down and treat at a lower voltage than those that don't contain a lot of melanin. So you're going to ask your client, you know, what heritage or ethnicity are your parents, your grandparents. I happen to know I'm very Northern European, or Eastern European, I guess I should say. I'm English, I'm Irish, I'm German. But I have a cousin where if you look at her fits, she's probably a 4. And she is very dark-skinned. Apparently there was some Spanish lady in her background. I have no idea. And she got all of that melanin, and I didn't. That very well could be from her father and not me. So ask pointed questions. So for a good rule of thumb, as I said, is if it's 1 through 3, you can treat at the low setting for almost everything, which is 150 volts. And those are the fits of 4, 5, or 6. You will turn the ThermoClear down and treat at 80 to 100 volts. The higher the fits, the lower the voltage. All right, my friend is albino. She wants her spider capillaries. You don't treat spider veins, right, Maria? Capillaries removed. And do you want them removed or treated? Be careful. You did 3. What's 3? What setting is 3? All right, let's not ask all that yet, because let me get through these questions and then I'll have a really good question and answer. So 100 volts on 3 capillaries. And wait, how do I go up? What was your question again? What? She wants her capillaries removed, treated. I did 3 of them. They look great, but she's staying red longer. So yes, they should fade. How long has it been? And we'll get, remember your whole, like, how old is she? If she's 30, it could take about 30 days for that to completely resolve. 3 weeks, 4 years old. So it's probably going to take a few more weeks, about 40 days. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so first thing, who are you treating? Second question, what are you treating? Knowing what you are treating will keep you from making mistakes. So, in order to figure out which probe to use, if you need a conductor and which technique to use, you need to know exactly what it is that you're treating. All right? So, cherry angiomas are the little red dots that people have on their faces, their necks, their décolleté, their whole bodies. You'll sometimes see them on backs and legs and arms. Spider capillaries. I love cherries too. They're like the most fun. I actually think my new favorite thing to do though is a keratosis because I kind of get gross when I like that. All right, spider capillaries are pretty obvious. They are red. They are not blue, they're not green, and they're not purple. So some people you'll see have really deep capillaries right here that are more blue, green, purple. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? They're kind of low and around the mouth. That's where I usually see them. These are veins that you can see through their skin. They're deeper, and you are not going to be able to treat those with your ThermoClear. You're just going to end up pissing their skin off, and it'll be useless. So don't treat those. I don't like to treat any of these darker capillaries. I stick with the nose. I stick with the cheeks. Sometimes you'll see where somebody is, maybe hit themselves in the face with a pencil. That's totally a Jen move. But I had a client who did that. I think she injured herself like 15 years in the past. So she had this little, almost like a spider nevus. It was like a little red area with little capillaries off of it. It drove her crazy. So you can treat those. I have another client/friend that had capillaries all on her neck. I think they were from giving birth. So those are all red, bright red capillaries. Those are perfect to treat. Sebaceous hyperplasia. You can tell these are sebaceous hyperplasia by the fact that they usually look like a donut with a little, like a little divot in the center. They're raised slightly, but not sticking up, and that distinction will be important in a minute. This is my chest. I'm so embarrassed about how much sun damage I have. I used to be a marine biologist. I was in the sun all the time, so there's my skin. But this was a milia I actually had on my chest, so you can treat milia. This is a skin tag on somebody's ear. You can also treat flat hyperpigmentation. DPNs, dermatosis papulosa nigra. These are the little black, almost like freckles that people with a higher Fitzpatrick skin type get. So if I say Morgan Freeman, you probably all know exactly what I'm talking about. They're just slightly raised. You'll treat these as if they're a keratosis, just so you know. And then skin tags and keratoses. Keratoses are those waxy, they almost look like a sticker that somebody has stuck onto their skin. So you can do the skin tags and the seborrheic keratoses. There are also actinic keratoses, which look more like a flattened, crusty, but not super crusty, more like just super dry, I guess is what I would say. That can be a precursor to cancer, so please don't treat actinic keratoses, only the seborrheic keratoses, all right? Missing pictures of anything? All right, that's pretty much it. All right, remember, if you're not sure of what you're treating, don't treat it. It took me a long time to kind of figure out what a seborrheic keratosis was. I didn't have great education in my school about skin conditions, or if I did, I was totally taking a nap during that time. but I don't think I was. So seborrheic keratoses feel waxy. So that's how you know what they are. So once again, you can treat cherry angiomas, spider capillaries as long as they're red, not purple, green, or blue, milia, clogged pores, acne pimples, blackheads, sebaceous hyperplasia, flat hyperpigmentation, keratoses, the DPNs, Samuel L. Jackson, keratoses, and skin tags. You can also treat cholesterol deposits if you want to. I don't, because I think eyeballs are disgusting. So I am not getting right into people's corners of their eyes. I have, however, treated amelia right on an eyelid, and I just treated it by tapping it gently, and it just ejected itself. Collecting large pores, so those are called pore of Weiner's. Yes, you can try. That's one of those things that I never guarantee a result. I just say, hey, we're going to try to do this. And I can talk about technique on that stuff when we get to those slides, okay? All right. I can't stress this enough. I already said this. If you don't know what it is, don't treat it. All right. Which probe do I use? First of all, before we go on, any questions? Is everyone understanding how to figure out who we're treating and what we're treating? Like, those seem like two pretty simple questions, right? Not rocket science. Okay. Thank you, Darcy. All right. Which probe do I use? Choosing the correct probe is very easy. For those of you that already use the machine, do you think this is an easy or a hard thing to figure out? Because I got to tell you, girlfriends, and possibly boyfriend if you're out there, I can't tell you how many times I get this frickin' question. Which probe do I use for this? Oh my God. I'm glad you're saying it's easy. Easy, easy. If it's not easy, that's okay, because you don't know the questions to ask yet. All right? So, let's move on. Your ThermoClear device comes with two different types of probes. The insulated F3Is and the stainless F6S. You can also get gold probes, and you can purchase those. Just look up Sterex Gold on the Google machine. But I happen to know you can get them from Texas Electrolysis Supply. All right. Now, I don't work with them. I just know that you can get them there. All right, let me talk to you about what these different items mean. F refers to the size of the shank. So, if you imagine, I'm going to use a pencil for a second. I'll actually use my fancy pen that looks like a pencil. You imagine the diameter of this portion of the pencil as being the shank. An F shank Sterex is the same as an F shank Ballet, is the same as an F shank Pro-Tex, I think is the Pro-Tex. So this means you can actually fit, oh gosh, Cortina is trying to ask me questions. Okay, sorry about that. The shank is what fits into this portion of your probe holder. All right, so that's all that a shank talks about. The number, so on these, this is a 3, this is a 6. The number refers to the thickness or the diameter of the probe. The smaller the number, the thinner the probe. The larger the number, the thicker the probe. So it's the difference between using, let me just get to my, I don't think I have another, oh, here we go. 2 Sharpies. You see the difference between those? Big fat one would be more like your 6. The little skinny one would be more like 3. So it's just the diameter of your probe. I actually like this Sharpie demonstration. That's a good one. All right, the next number or letter in this case refers to if it is I, insulated, S, stainless, or G, gold. So it just tells you what material this is made of. For the stainless and the insulated, these are both actually stainless probes. This one happens to be coated with, I think it's a Teflon coating, all the way up to the very tip of the probe. So that's the only place that electricity is generated with these probes, is the very tip. With the stainless, it does not have that Teflon coating, so the electricity is emitted or generated through the entire probe. That's why it's really, really important to be very careful about how you are touching the probe to your client's skin. Because if you're treating a capillary, so if I can get close enough, so say you're treating a capillary, nope, let's go back. Let's say you're treating something with a stainless probe and you lay it against the skin like this instead of the very tip. You're treating the entire area that that probe is touching. Does that make sense? So the insulated, it's just the very tip. The other two, the stainless and the gold, the energy is emitted on the entire little filament or probe that's sticking out. Okay. You will use insulated probes for almost everything. Capillaries, cherryangiomas, milia, sebaceous hyperplasia, blackheads, fat hyperpigmentation, cholesterol deposits, the acne pimples. With the insulated probes, the energy is felt only at the very tip of the probe. All right? Carol, stay tuned because we're getting to that in a second. With insulated probes, it's just at the very tip of the probe. So you are treating almost everything with this probe. And look at this, cherry, mangiomas, telangiectasias, sunspots, sebaceous hyperplasia, milia. I actually bought a used machine. This is what was sent with it. And I was like, awesome, I'm going to use this to show. You can write cheat sheets on the box. It's not a problem. But you're not going to need it, right? When do you use the stainless probe? You will use the stainless steel probes for skin tags, DPNs, and keratoses. If you happen to have looked at your cheat sheet before, you will see, I have this upside down. They actually separate this, and this, I can give you access to this later. Man, it's really hard. I know you can't read it, so just kind of use this as a sort of explanation. But it shows right here in this column what you're treating. The next one shows which probe you're using, and this says insulated for capillaries, cherryangiomas, milia, acne pimple, epidermal cyst, which don't treat because that's definitely a Dr. Pimple Popper thing and not an esthetician thing, all right? It says blackhead, sebaceous hyperplasia, flat hyperpigmentation. All of these say insulated probe. If you go down below this line that I've drawn right here, it'll say fibroma, also known as DPNs. A fibroma is just a general term for a non-cancerous tumor, actually. It also says keratosis, skin tag, a small one, skin tag, large one. And all of these say stainless. So an easy way to remember when you use the stainless steel probe is everything that sticks out from the skin will require an insulated probe. So what sticks out from the skin? Do Samuel L. Jackson's little DPNs stick out from the skin? Yes. Do keratoses, that little waxy thing that's been stuck on your grandma, does that stick out from the skin? Yes. Skin tags, duh, they stick out from the skin. So those things all stick out, you use stainless, SS. I think that's kind of brilliant, if I may say so myself. Everything else is insulated. So just keep that in your mind when you're trying to figure out what probe to use. Scratch your head and go, okay, what exactly am I treating? I've got some capillaries and a skin tag. Guess what? You're going to use the insulated probe for the capillaries and a stainless steel probe for a skin tag. When would you lay the entire probe on the skin? You really wouldn't, but when I'm treating, and this will get to technique in a second, but when I'm treating things like hyperpigmentation and keratoses, especially skin tags, I'll end up using more of the probe. I won't necessarily lay it against the skin, but I'll use it more like a paintbrush instead of pinpoint. So when I'm treating a capillary, I'll be tapping When I'm treating amelia, I'm tapping. When I'm treating everything else in that first category except hyperpigmentation, I'm usually using a tapping technique. And this, don't write any of this down because there's going to be a slide on it in a second. But when I'm using this on like a keratosis, it's more of a dragging or a paintbrush or a scratching technique. So that's when you use more of the probe. Does that help, Carol? Okay, next slide. Any questions? So we've done who, what are we treating, which, which probe will you use? Next slide. Oh, when to use the gold probe. I almost forgot that. If your client has an allergy to nickel, you should always use the gold probe. And I'm pretty sure you can get very thin gold probes, thin being 3. I'm pretty sure you can get 6s because guess what? This is a 6. Excuse me, it's a 5. I can't read. All right, and you can also, for both the gold and the stainless, and presumably these, you can get a 10. You want to know when you'd use a 10? You know those big, gnarly skin tags that if you start treating them, 20 minutes later, it feels like you're still treating it? Buy a box of bigger probes for just that time, because you will be able to treat those suckers really fast, because the larger the probe, the more energy, the faster you'll treat. All right, Jody, we'll get to that in a second. And keep in mind, holes actually do heal, and I'll tell you a little story in a second. All right. So, first 3 questions, I've already forgotten them. Who? Can anyone tell me what the first 3 questions are? Actually, a good quiz. Drink while you're answering. No, Maria, you should get gold probes for people with a nickel allergy, just to be safe. You're probably not going to have an issue. Who, what, which. Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Who are you treating? What are you treating? Which probe to use? All right. Number 4. When do I need to add a conductor for electricity? And this is so easy. Does it have blood or sebum or not? If it has blood or sebum, it already has something that conducts electricity. If it doesn't have blood or sebum, you need to add a conductor. Let me go back to this. Cindy Roberts said, is it necessary to use 0.005? No. Those are about the same for a small skin tag. You can use, what do I have? I think I have 6s. I have 6s here. So 6, 5, 4, those are totally fine. You're just going to want to be really super accurate when you're treating those little skin tags, because you don't want to be treating the area around it. We're getting, that's question 5, how to treat. All right, so when to add a conductor or not. So you need to think about you need to think about what you are treating to determine if it already contains a conductor for electricity, such as blood or sebum, or not. If it doesn't contain a conductor, you will need to add one. You can use water, numbing cream, lotion, witch hazel, toner, spit if you're really doing the back alley treatment, but I don't recommend spit because it's not approved by state board. So if you mistakenly add a conductor on something that already has one, so for example, if you have capillaries and you decide you want to add a conductor, you're not going to get a great result, and here's why. If you are treating a capillary and you've added a conductor, guess where that electricity is going to go? Is it going to stay right on the capillary? Hint, the answer is no. That electricity is going to dissipate through that entire spot of water that you've put on your client's skin. So it's going to render your treatment a little bit more painful because you're actually treating more area than just that capillary. And it's not going to be as effective because you're not concentrating that electricity right on the capillary. It's now dissipated over where that water is. So when you are treating anything that already has a conductor, you want to make sure that the skin is very dry. So I always, when I do any treatment, everyone's skin is cleansed. And then you can, if you're going right into the treatment, you can take a Kleenex or a 4x4 and just really pat your client's skin down and then fan it so it's super dry, because you want to make sure that you are being pinpoint accurate. So for this reason about the conductors, I always treat imperfections that already have their own conductor: capillaries, cherry angiomas, milia, blackheads, acne pimples, sebaceous hyperplasia. I will treat all of that on the skin first. And then for the remaining things, like if they have hyperpigmentation, keratoses, DPNs, skin tags, I will then treat those after I've added my conductor. Does that make sense? Cynthia, how do you treat acne? At which energy level? Okay, who is your client? Are they a fits 1 through 3? Are they a fits 4 through 6? That will help you determine what treatment or what setting to use it at. So Teresa, yes, if you have to sign off, oh gosh, I have no idea about that. But we've been in here for an hour. You can just fast forward an hour. I think I'm going to have to post these as like part 1, part 2, and in the post I'll go ahead and write down like this covers, you know, what's the ThermoClear? This covers who are you treating? Does that sound good? All right, that's what I was planning on doing anyway. All right. Oh wait, I've already done this. So let me actually, I don't know how to go back. Oh, previous. So let me go back here. You can add a conductor, such as water, numbing cream, lotion, witch hazel, toner. So many people ask me about this one right here. Can I use a numbing cream? Yes, you can use a numbing cream. The most common topical numbing creams are lidocaine, tetracaine, and benzocaine. I did a little research on these 3 canes the other day. They're actually related to cocaine. Did you know that? I actually didn't, but it kind of makes sense. But tetracaine and benzocaine tend to cause allergic reactions in a much larger subset of people than lidocaine does. So for that reason, I offer lidocaine. I have Zensa that I actually sell on ProSkin Guru. It contains a 5% lidocaine. I don't know what the ingredients in Numbmaster are, but I'm sure it will work. Just look at your ingredients and determine. But here's the thing. Applying this topical is probably illegal for you to do in your state, because applying or recommending an over-the-counter medication is illegal in probably all states. I have no idea, but I know it's illegal in Vermont. For this reason, and because I have some really good tricks to making the treatments more comfortable, I only numb my mother, because she is the biggest pansy of anyone I've ever treated, ever. Actually, yeah, ever. She is very sensitive. So I've definitely used Zensa on a few clients, but I'm going to tell you a little secret. It's usually as a placebo, because think about it. The time it takes for a numbing cream to take effect is often longer than you've budgeted for your treatment time. Most people are extremely motivated to receive their ThermoClear treatment, and with some of the mind games I'm going to tell you about in a second, they're usually able to tolerate the treatment very, very well. And just so you know, I normally only use water for my conductor, because I don't have 20 minutes for somebody to sit in my room waiting to numb. I just don't have that time or effort budgeted into my price, to tell you the truth. Okay, my hair is really crazy. I just keep noticing this. Which way? Okay. All right. Some tricks to helping your clients tolerate their ThermoClear treatment. First question you always get is, does it hurt? And I got this from Lorenzo. I take credit for it, but I will always say, don't worry, it doesn't hurt me a bit. This little bit of levity helps reduce your client's worry so much. So don't be afraid to joke around a little bit with your clients. This is something that people get super nervous about. For those of you that have had a ThermoClear treatment, would you say that you were nervous that it was going to hurt a lot before it was actually done on you? I was nervous. And in fact, the first time I had it done was by Lorenzo. And of course, it was period week. And I was so sensitive. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this to a client. And then I actually treated myself a couple of weeks later, and I was like, wait a second, that didn't hurt at all. So being on their cycle can make them extremely sensitive, just like with a Brazilian or any waxing. The nose makes you sneeze. Yes, the nose also makes me sneeze. So what you want to do is give your client a Kleenex so that they're ready, and tell them they're not to rub or squeeze, they're to pat. Usually sneezing or their eyes just start watering. And that is actually a really good conductor for electricity. So you can also just move their tears to where you're treating, but probably you're just going to want to pat them a little bit. All right. Second, oops, hold on. I pushed the wrong button. Find something such as a small cherry angioma, a small red mark, a fake thing on their chest or their forehead and treat them before going to town. Just give a few little taps wherever you choose, take the probe off, and say, how was that for you? Usually this is enough to help your client relax. And yes, Darcy, you're absolutely correct. Endorphins are a beautiful pain reliever. So, and Lisa, yeah, lowering the intensity made it tolerable. And that's why I say to treat at the lowest intensity you can treat and still get a good result. I think it was Jody that over the weekend was asking about pigmentation. And she was saying that she was taught to treat everything at 90 and she wasn't getting good results. So what that means to me is as long as that client is a candidate for going to 150 volts, you're going to want to do that. So, all right. So that's the second thing. Just give them a little tap. You know, you can do something fake on their neck and just say, hey, how does that feel? And people are going to be way less nervous about it. The third thing, and this I think is the best piece of advice I'm going to give you about making pain levels lower. When you're working on something that is more than just a couple of taps, count down from 5. So for example, if you're working on a capillary on the cheek or the nose, tell them, I'm just going to work here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your probe off. And by the time you get to the word seconds, and I didn't even say seconds, take the probe off, give them a little break. This trick is incredible for keeping me from needing to use any sort of numbing cream. If somebody's super sensitive, you can go 3, 2, 1. Sometimes, if I'm almost done treating something, I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1. Okay, all done. So just keep a dialogue open with your clients, because if you're just sitting there quietly, you have no idea how long you're going to be working there. So just give them that little countdown. Some clients won't even wiggle, and I'll ask them, do you need me to count down? And they're like, yeah, no, it doesn't even hurt at all. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to town. If you need a break, let me know. But just this little 5, 4, 3, and tell clients, like, if you need a break, just, you know, raise your hand. It's fine. You usually aren't going to want them to start talking while you're working on something. But just have them, you know, if you need a break, just, you know, tap the blanket, snap your fingers, just, you know, choose something so that they feel like they're in control of this process and you're not. Even though you know, yeah. Okay, 4. Ice roller or a cold cloth. Have it ready for them to use after you finish with an area, because think about this for a second. What does cold do to capillaries? Is it going to vasodilate or vasoconstrict? Anybody? Exactly. Cold will constrict capillaries. So don't let them ice roll, or some people are like, oh, you can just numb it ahead of time with some ice cubes. Yeah, no, especially if you're treating capillaries, you're not going to see what you're trying to treat, and you're not going to end up giving them a great result. For skin tags, damn Skippy, stick an ice cube right on that thing, because guess what? Ice, water, is also a conductor for electricity. It'll be cold, numb, and you can treat it like crazy. All right. So you can give them this ice roller, a cold washcloth, or after to use after you're done treating anything that has blood flow. But it feels so good to them. I had a woman who I did 50 minutes on her face, on her capillaries. She was definitely a back and forth person because she has higher blood pressure, but she just rolled her face on both sides when she was done. Totally felt great. All right, the fifth, give your clients breaks if they need it. And give them that permission, as I said a little bit earlier. If you need a break, just let me know. I don't want to hurt you any more than I have to, and we really don't want to hurt our clients. So I'll talk about pricing in a second, but I'm just going to tell you what I offer right now. So I'll either offer like 1 to 3 things, and you can add this onto a facial. I can cut my mask time a little bit short. I can penetrate the mask with an ultrasonic spatula to make the time a little shorter. I can cut a little extra time off of the massage if I need to. But usually for 1 to 3 things, you literally are using minutes, if not even 5 minutes. It usually will take you longer to plug your machine in and hook your cords up than to just do the treatment. So this is if I see somebody that has, like, hey, I see you have a capillary and a cherry angioma. Would you like me to treat that for you today? It's an extra $75, $50, or whatever it is you choose to price. So that's my one tier of service. Yes, Summer, I will. And in fact, I use Vagaro, and they have a new feature called Forms, and I'm actually going to include that. But right now I have them, I'll either have them actually sit up and sign it before the treatment, but after they've filled out their consultation form, or if it's something I have a feeling we're going to end up adding, then I'll have them fill it out before the entire facial. All right? All right, so I also will book a 15-minute service, but I will usually treat for 20 minutes, and here's why. Treat, 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 treat. You doing okay? Great. Treat, 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 treat. Everything okay? All right. Cool. 5, 4, 3, 2. You're doing such a great job. I take into account the fact that I'm talking for some of their treatment time, and I want them to truly get 15 minutes of on-face treatment. So I'll set my timer for 20 minutes. And I'll let them know, hey, I gave you 20 minutes and I didn't charge you any extra for the extra time, because our clients love free stuff. They like to feel, like we're giving them free things. For a 30-minute treatment, I'll usually set the timer for 35 or even 40 minutes. I mean, I make $10 a minute on this treatment. So I charge $150 for a 15-minute treatment, and I'll charge $300 for a 30-minute treatment. So I'm making $600 an hour on this treatment. I can certainly give my client an extra 5 or 10 minutes. All right. Next. I keep pushing the wrong button. All right. So we've done 4 questions, right? I forgot to put the number there. All right. Number 5. How do I treat? This is the last step in learning how to use your ThermoClear or ThermoClear Pro. How do you treat? Once you know who you're treating, and therefore the voltage, right? What you're treating, and therefore the probe, which is the third thing, which probe you need to use, and whether or not, oh my God, another spelling mistake. Whoop, you need a conductor. You need to know how to treat. Cost, yeah, I charge $10 a minute. So if I add like 3 things, I'm charging $75. I live in Vermont, a very small town of less than 10,000. It's the county seat, so to speak. And so I actually charge a premium. I'm the only person in the whole state of Vermont that I know of that has a machine. For a 15-minute treatment, I am charging $150. What I will do in that 15-minute treatment is I will cleanse their skin. Obviously, I'm making sure they fill out their consultation form. I'll take before and after pictures. So I book 45 minutes for this 15-minute appointment. But I want to make sure that I have all of my ducks in a row, everything filled out. There is a consent form, and then there's also a charting form. So I fill both of those out, and then I will do the treatment. And as I said, for a 15-minute treatment, I'm usually treating for about 20 minutes, and then it gives me plenty of time to clean up the machine and flip my room. For a 30-minute treatment, which is somebody with a lot of capillaries or a lot of skin tags or seborrheic keratoses or really just a lot of stuff, a lot of pigmentation, I will charge $300, and I'll book an hour out for that appointment. And I'll usually treat for 35 to 40 minutes. Once again, I'm cleansing their skin, consultation forms, before and after pictures, all of that stuff. So that's what I charge in Vermont. I think that Lorenzo charges 50, 100, and 200. So 50 for 3 things, 100 for 15 minutes, and 200 for 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure. Same thing with Olga, who is the owner of the company. So it just really depends on you. If you're struggling with getting people to use this piece of equipment, change your prices a little bit or offer a one-time sale, because sometimes that's all you need to be able to get people excited is those original before and after pictures. All right, next slide. So there's a few techniques you're going to use. I just cleanse with whatever cleanser I'm using. I have Dermodality, I have Dermalogica, and I have Victoria Deanne. So it just happens to be whatever I have. But I use a foaming cleanser, not a creamy cleanser. All right, retreats. Are they, if necessary, free? Jody, bear with me because I'm actually going to get to that a little bit later. All right. All right. So how do I treat? You're either going to use a tapping, scratching, or what I call a picky scratch, depending on what you're treating. Also, if you are able to lance in your state, you can also use an insertion technique. Darcy will be one person to confirm this, but I will say use this when I'm tapping. It's like you're using the tip of your pencil. When you're scratching, it's more like a paintbrush. You're dragging the tip on the skin. And then a picky scratch is truly, let me see if I can show you what I'm doing. You tap and then kind of flick. And that's what I would use for things like keratosis. We'll get to that in a second though. All right. So when you're tapping, you're going to use the tip of the probe and a pencil technique. I just told you all this. When scratching, you use it like a paintbrush. Picky scratch is a combo of the two, and the insertion technique is exactly as it sounds. You will insert the very tip of the probe into the thing you are treating, and you're probably only going to use this for milia and sebaceous hyperplasia. All right. Actually, I lied. You will also insert for a blackhead. You will also insert for an acne pimple. I think that's it. That's really all you're going to insert for. But you only insert the very tip of the probe into what you're treating, and you're just treating barely under the surface of the skin. If you cannot lance in your state, you do not need to insert. So try to do treatments without insertion, if possible, especially when you're first starting. You don't want to go willy-nilly, like, let me just stick this in all over the place. There is a video I have seen on Facebook of somebody that has the precursor to the ThermoClear, and they insert way too far into the skin. You are not sinking this entire probe into the skin. Let me show you what these probes look like. By the way, this is just a little tip. To open these probes, push it with the metal shank through the paper. I don't know if you can even see what I'm doing. And that way you're not going to flick the probe out onto the floor. But actually, I know you can't see this. actually going in, but you can't even see that thing. It's something dark. I don't know what I have. I just need like a black piece of paper. All right, let's see if this works. A Pyrex container. Can you guys, oh, you still can't even see it. Can you guys see that thing? You can't, I can't even see it. See that probe? So you can kind of see when I move it. That's a good, I mean, a third of an inch of stuff sticking out. If you're sticking something a third of an inch into the skin, even if it's at a 45-degree angle, you're getting in there. So you are barely putting the very, very tip of this probe into the skin with the with this probe. All right. So next slide. Darcy, your husband was like the best husband in the world. He was very patient with us. All right, how do I treat capillaries? So, I wish I could cover this up. I'm going to go back real quick. Anyone, quick, capillaries. Are you adding a conductor when you're treating capillaries? Correct. Yeah, I love you guys. You're all right. And why are you not adding a conductor when you treat capillaries? I love all of you. It already has a conductor, and it's blood. Excellent. So how do you treat capillaries? Tap, 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 tap like a pencil, right? Awesome. You guys are perfect. You don't need to use a conductor because it's already there. If what you're working on is red and not green and not purple and not blue, you can treat it. You can treat reds. Blue, green, and purple are too big and too deep, and you won't get a good result. These larger capillaries, varicose veins, should be referred to a medical vein expert. You might sometimes get phone calls saying, hey, I have some capillaries. I have some veins on my legs. Can you treat those? You want to know what you do with those clients? You get them into your office because they probably have never been in there before if they're asking about veins. And you can say, you know what, actually, I don't treat those, but I noticed that you have these. So there's a potential new client. All right, you're going to start at the smallest or the thinnest part of a capillary and work your way to the fattest. You guys all probably have seen this picture before. Arteries bring blood away from the heart. Veins return it to the heart. So in between arteries and veins, you have capillaries. So that's how the blood gets from an artery to a vein, is it through these capillaries. Let's see if I can do this. All right, so you're going to notice that capillaries usually are very skinny at one side, and then they, oh, this is like going backwards here. Then they'll go into a very much thicker area. Okay, I'm done with that. It's like being a dentist and trying to do things backwards. So you're going to want to start at the smallest or the thinnest part of the capillary and work toward the fattest part. So you're going to work thin to fat, skinny to fat, however you want to think about it. In general, this will mean that you're starting at the midline of the body and working toward the outer areas. So in the case of a nostril, you actually will start in the nostril. You're going to go out, and it usually goes up this way. You're not necessarily going to see the whole thing. With the side of the nostril, the very tip is where you're going to see the skinniest part, and then you're going to end up going out like this. On cheeks, what I'll do is I'll just start at the inside, and if they're, you know, sometimes you see those capillaries, it's like a lattice. It's very much lacy looking. You're just going to start at the inside, and you go up and down. Tap, tap, tap. This might take a little while, but you're just going to start working from inside to outside. All right? So that's how you treat a capillary. Any questions about that? And you're tapping. Pencil. I often see people trying to be a little bit not 90-degree angle with this. You are not trying to tap at a 45-degree angle. You're really trying to tap at a 90. And you're going to notice that if I can show this, you're bracing your hand so you're not coming in at somebody unbraced. So that's scary, like poking into somebody with a filament that can sink into their skin if you're not careful. You want to brace your finger first and then almost like a little piston up and down. Tap, tap, tap. You're not trying to sink the probe into the skin, especially with capillaries. On the contrary, you need to use just enough pressure to ensure good contact between the probe and the skin. And you're going to tap long enough so that the skin turns white or blanches. And if you've had any training with me, you're going to know that I'm going to tell you to wait until you see blanching and to slow down and to stop using as much pressure. Rosacea on the cheeks are large area. So large area, as I said, you're just going to start at the midline of your face and you're going to kind of back and forth. Let me get closer. So I'll just start treating down and then up and then down and then up. You can sometimes see individual capillaries, but when it's that lacy, like I have a slide in here. It's one of my before and after pictures. She just had super lacy cheeks, so I just did this up and down motion. If you can actually see the capillaries, you're going to start center, out, center, out. Another thing that's important to show, I'm actually going to, all right. Let me see if I can fold this a little bit so it's not so huge and in my eyeballs. All right, I'm going to hold it on my face so it doesn't move. So you're going to see branching in these capillaries. So you'll see a couple of branches. It'll come to this main trunk, and then you're going to have another branch come down. So when you're starting to treat these, you're not starting down here, treating this, and then coming back up to some of this stuff. You're going to want to start, it doesn't really matter, one of these two, and you're going to go tap, 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 all the way down to this branch. Do not go down here yet until you have come back up here, oops, where is it? And tap, tap, tap down to this branch. Now you can continue down to where that branch is. Then you'll come back up. This is so hard to do with backwards, like in a mirror. And you're going to tap this all the way down to where they connect. Then you can continue down until it's completed. All right, so skinny to fat, and wherever things branch, you want to pull them down together, and then you can complete the rest of the capillary. All right, once you see that you have adequately treated the area, you can move on, but keep in mind, it is very, very important to make sure you have fully treated an area before you go on to the next place, before you move on to your next point of contact. If you move too quickly, you will not have fully treated an area, and your result will not be very good, or it may not work at all. So you want to go until you see that white blanching. And I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about if you have, number one, seen a ThermoClear treatment, or number two, done a ThermoClear treatment. What you have to make sure you do after a few minutes is go back and look at where you treated. If it's not blanched anymore, guess what? It is not treated. You did not use enough time. And this is something that is hard to learn. You've got to slow down. Yeah, you've got to slow down. All right, Cynthia, I hope I answered your question well enough about the lace ones. If it starts bleeding before it blanches, you've probably, number one, used too much pressure, or you can try turning the machine down because you might too much voltage. Just because you can treat somebody at 150 volts, say they're a FITS 2, it doesn't mean you have to. Especially if they have super sensitive, thin skin. So say you have a FITS 2 that happens to be 65 years old. You're probably still going to want to treat that person as if they are a FITS 5. You're going to want to turn the machine down, because if they have super thin skin, you're going to want to slow the treatment down. So slow it down and barely touch the surface, just enough to have contact. All right, if you didn't treat all the way, can they come back sooner than 6 weeks? I always have people come back the number of days they are old. So if somebody's coming in and they're 40, 45 years old, they're coming back in a month and a half. For somebody who's in their 60s, they're coming back in 2 months. That's when you can retreat, because you want to make sure the reason I do this is, think about it. We're all taught in school, I'm assuming what we learn in school is correct. Up to the age 30, it takes about 30 days for you to completely replace your skin, to completely regenerate your layers. When you get into your 40s, it takes about 40 days. When you're in your 60s, it takes about 60 days. So I want to make sure that client has had enough time for their skin to completely heal before I retreat them. Summer, that's actually not a bad idea. I don't have a lot of higher Fitzpatrick skin types in my studio. You want to know when I see them? The shows. And the people at the shows are not on tyrosinase inhibitors usually. So it's most important to turn the machine down for them. But I would say, yeah, that's a great idea to put them on like Correct or something like that. Jackie, I'll get to the pricing about that in a little while. All right, let's go to the next slide. Do not rush. This is something I see very, very often with new ThermoClear operators. They tend to dance across the skin very quickly instead of using slow, steady, deliberate movement. So this is what I'll often see. Super fast, and they're just trucking along. They've got places to go. Slow down. My treatment looks like this. Tap, tap. As soon as I see that blanching, I'm lifting it off. Tap, tap, tap. All right? If you find yourself rushing, it happens. Remove the probe from your client's skin, take a deep breath, and imagine me sitting on your shoulder saying, slow the heck down. Don't rush. Watch to see the blanching. Those are all things you will hear from me multiple times if I've ever trained you. Rushing doesn't hurt your client. It just makes it so they have to be treated again. And that either means charging them more money or not. And you shouldn't charge more money if it's your fault that it didn't treat. How do you know it's your fault? Do your treatment after 15 minutes, after 5 minutes, after 1 minute. Look at where you've treated. Do you see the capillary again? That's your fault because you went too fast. All right, Lisa, slow down. I am perched on your shoulder and I'm whispering sweet nothings in your ear. Slow down. Look for blanching. Slow down. All right? Imagine it. It's frightening, I know. All right. Good. Okay. So any questions about capillaries? I'm going to take a drink while you form them. It looks like there's no questions. Excellent. How do I treat cherry angiomas? Cherry angiomas are like the best thing to treat because they're easy, they're little, you rarely screw these suckers up. All right? So, as with anything that contains blood, you'll use a tapping technique. And you'll start at the outside edge of the cherry and work toward the center in a spiral motion. You don't want to rush these either. You want to go slow and steady, but it's the same exact thing that you're looking for. You're looking for that blanching. So say you've got a little dot right there. I'm going to turn this way. You're just going to go, and I'm going to make it giant and exaggerated, but tap, 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 all the way until you get to the very center, and it's gone. That's the cherry. Super easy. You don't use a conductor because, oh wait, is that the only thing I said for cherries? That was like the easiest thing ever. Cherries are truly easy. You just, it's blood, no conductor, Hey, which probe are you using, by the way? Anyone know? Miranda, it's nice to see you. I still want to come down and train for you. Insulated. Awesome. Love it. No conductor. Insulated. Okay, great. How do I treat milia? First of all, does it have a conductor for electricity? Correct. So you do not need to add one. All of this, I don't know if you've noticed, but everything I'm talking about first, you don't add a conductor. It already has it. Perfect. When treating milia, this is the one, I think, who was it that asked about not leaving a hole? Was that Jody? I can't remember. Milia. Sometimes you have to be happy with just touching the tip of the probe to the top of the milia, tap, tap, tap until the sebum rises to the top of the epidermis. If you cannot get the milia out with your little diamond tip tweezers, leave it alone, because by the next day, it's going to be like basically sticking out of your client's skin. You can either have them come back in for a quick, or give them permission and instruction on how to gently work that out with gloved fingers, padding. I know we never want our clients to actually pick, but with milia, they literally just like rise to the surface. Or you can just tell them, you know, wait a couple of days, exfoliate, and it's gonna fall out on its own. So that's if you are not able to lance. All right. So Summer, what is it you're not good at? Like, what is it about milia that trips you up? So I'll be watching, but I'm going to go on to the next thing, the next bullet point. If you are able to lance in your state, you can, without current, slightly insert the probe into the side of the milia at a 45-degree angle. So this is that insertion technique I was talking about. Without current. So your foot is not on the pedal. I'm assuming everyone knows that when you push the pedal, you have current. All right. All right. Let me keep talking about this. So you're going to slightly insert at a 45-degree angle without current. You're going to push the pedal, and you're going to slowly withdraw the probe. And let me show you what not to do. I've inserted and pushed the pedal. Panic! Don't panic. It's going to zip your client a little bit. So you're going to, once again, insert without current. Pedal is pushed. Slowly draw it out. A lot of times that sebum will actually get pulled out with the probe. So you're not a quick flick out. You're taking 3 to 5 seconds sometimes to pull that probe out, because you want to harden that sebum. The way Lorenzo explains it, it's the difference between an egg white that is raw and an egg white that is cooked. You are cooking an egg white. You're coagulating it. You're solidifying it. And sometimes it gets stuck in the probe. Sometimes it stays in the skin. So you can either take your tweezers and kind of work at it. Some people use comedone extractors. I don't. Sometimes you can use your finger. But half the time, if I can't get that stupid thing out, it's going to stay in there. My client will either come in the next day, or it's gonna fall off themselves. So yeah, Cynthia, anything where you're creating a wound on their skin, because that's what milia and sebaceous hyperplasia do. I tell them they're going to have a little scab on their face or their chest or wherever we've treated, and it will naturally fall off just like a scab does on them. So if they tend to be a fast healer, it won't take as long. If they tend to be a super slow healer, you know, it's just like any other scab that you've gotten, and everyone's gotten a scab in their lives. All right, blackheads, no current. You're going to insert, you're going to kind of circle around, and as you're circling, you're going to push on the pedal and pull up. The same exact technique you're going to use for the pore of Weiner, those dilated pores. No current, you're going to push on the pedal, circle around, and pull up. Sometimes you'll actually get some material out of those. It's usually just dead skin cells that are just kind of sitting in that depression. But that's how you'll do a blackhead. That's also how you'll do an acne pimple or a papule. You will, no current, stick it in, kind of work around in a circle, push the pedal up or down while you're pulling up. All right, so that's how you do anything that's clogged, congested. Milia, blackheads, acne. All right, So if you are doing this insertion technique, you're going to do this 45-degree angle where you insert, pedal, pull out. No current. Insert, pedal, pull out. Off the current. Insert, pedal, pull out. All the way around it, usually 5 or 6 times. And then take your diamond tip tweezers and scrape out that coagulated material. So I recently had a client that had some, I don't even know what the hell it was, to tell you the truth, but they looked like milia in her chin. And it was her first time in to see me, and it was actually kind of funny because she kept talking about her previous esthetician and how much she loved her. And I was just like, oh yeah, wait until you have a service with me. And so I was working on her. I gave her lovely service, and at the end I was like, you have several milia, and I really just want to get those out for you. And she's like, yeah, I've had those things for years. You know, my previous esthetician would always get them out for me, and I had tried during the extraction. There's no frickin' way those were coming out with anything other than the ThermoClear. Those things were literally like rocks when they came out of her chin. I have a stainless steel table that I can sanitize. In tapping them on the table, you could hear that they sounded like a crystal rock tapping. So I don't know if that was like a really, really old milia that had crystallized, if it was a calcium deposit. I just can't imagine calcium looking like that for some reason. But she was so excited to have those out, and she had tiny little holes in her chin because those things were taking up a lot of material, or a lot of space. And I haven't seen her back yet, but I've checked in with her, and she said they're healing great. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see her come back in so I can get some more pictures. But that's how and I had to insert for those. There was no way. And she had to come in the next day for me to dig those things out of her chin, and I literally was digging with my tweezers. I mean, it wasn't like I was scalpeling her, but they were in there deep. So it was really kind of a Dr. Pimple Popper moment. I wish I had been videoing it. All right, so milia. How do I treat sebaceous hyperplasia? Once again, you don't need to use a conductor for electricity because there's already sebum in a sebaceous hyperplasia. When treating sebaceous hyperplasia, you're also going to work in a spiral motion, but this time you start in the center and work your way out. Actually, yes, I do have them come back in, and I have them come back in for a follow-up appointment in 30 to 60 days, depending on their age. That's when I'm going to get my after pictures. That's when I will retreat, and I'll talk about pricing for that in a sec. When treating sebaceous hyperplasia, you work in a spiral motion from the inside to the outside, but you're going to avoid the center. A sebaceous hyperplasia is, if you look at a cross-section of it, it's flat, there's a little dip, and then it's flat again. That little dip, you do not treat. There is no sebum there. That's actually the level of the rest of your skin. So the sebaceous hyperplasia is slightly raised. I'm not going to say sticks out because I don't want you to think you're going to be using the stainless. So this is still with that insulated probe. You're going to start at the inside, just outside of where that center divot is, and you're going to go around in a circle, watching that sebum get white and expand a little bit and coagulate. You're gonna work in that circular motion all the way out until you see no more blanching. And this is sometimes even further than the actual outside of the hyperplasia. So if you imagine this as being a big, giant sebaceous hyperplasia, let me make it a little smaller. You're gonna start outside of the hole, and you're just gonna go around in a circle. I can't do this backwards. And tap, 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 and sometimes you'll even end up right outside of this. It's still blanching white, so go all the way out. As the sebum coagulates and dries up, you'll take your diamond tip tweezers and you'll kind of scrape the material away. And yes, it looks like you've left a scab on your clients. You have, because you have removed, treated that runaway sebum. Make sure you're avoiding that center divot. If you treat it, you can actually create a divot in your client's skin. Ask me how they know that. I totally did that on somebody's forehead, felt like an ass, and they were so psyched to not have the hyperplasia, she didn't even care about that. All right, so I've definitely made mistakes with this, but it's hard to make a mistake that's horrible. All right. Any questions about cherry angiomas, spider capillaries, milia, sebaceous hyperplasia? Except for pricing, I'll get to that. All right, hyperpigmentation, flat hyperpigmentation. It's not sticking up. Anyone want to tell me what probe you're going to use? Marla, why do you say stainless for pigmentation, flat hyperpigmentation? The conduction is not the material. The conduction is water, numbing cream, lotion, toner. Flat hyperpigmentation is not sticking out, so things that stick out, use stainless. Anything that's not sticking out, you use insulated. All right? And that's totally fine that you don't get that yet. That is part of why you always are going to ask these 5 questions. Did I just miss a question? I feel like somebody... Is it okay not to scrape the hyperplasia? Yes, it is. It will naturally exfoliate off themselves. I just don't like to leave something there that my client is going to want to pick. If they're not scraping, are they actually removing? Do you notice that the next time they come in, that it's gone? Yeah, so Marla, stainless conducts electricity better than insulated. It's going to be hotter feeling on the client's skin, but it's not necessarily for conduction. It's truly just the material, the metal that's being used to conduct electricity. You either don't want to conduct as much insulated, or you want to like zap the crap out of it, which means stainless. All right, Summer, get back to me with that. Let me know if you're not scraping, or if they're not able to be scraped, are they still gone the next time you see that client? All right, so with flat hyperpigmentation, you're going to use the insulated probe, and you are going to be adding a conductor for the electricity because flat hyperpigmentation does not have blood or sebum. Awesome. Well, Summer, it sounds like you don't need to scrape them. I usually do. Like I said, I just don't want something there for them to pick. All right, so let's keep going. When treating hyperpigmentation, you're going to use a scratching or a hashtag technique. Okay, here's my hyperpigmentation. It's been treated a lot of times. It's a very big, you can see it's actually been a sebaceous hyperplasia in its past as well. But just pretend this is pigmentation. What you're going to want to do is use your probe, your insulated probe, with electricity, more like a paintbrush. You're dragging the probe. You're not going a 90-degree angle and pulling it across. That would be a little too rough. You're just laying it on the skin. Can you see that okay? And then you're going to do a hashtag. Oops, you're going to go the other way. And then you're also going to go at a 45-degree angle to that. And a scraping part. So there are these tweezers that I sell. Hold on one second. Chelsea, can you please get me a pair of my tweezers? Yes, please. Thank you. You're going to meet Chelsea. She's the person that keeps me organized. So, yeah, I usually sell, but these stupid things have been on back order for literally forever. I'm trying to find a replacement, but I'm struggling. These diamond tip tweezers. This is Chelsea. She's so gorgeous. And she is often who you're going to, if you call, you'll end up talking to Chelsea because I got to be honest, I'm usually with a client. All right. These are the diamond tip tweezers. They're pointed. And you see where it's kind of like a more like shaded gray at the tip? That's a diamond tip. And what that gives you, it's crushed diamonds that are literally glued to the tip of this. It gives you a little bit of texture to be able to scrape milia or sebaceous hyperplasia off. Sanitation. I take a nail brush with antibacterial soap and I scrub them really well. I rinse, 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 and I throw them in my barbicide. I'm actually looking at getting a new disinfectant, which is actually more in line with Canadian Health Canada instead of barbicide, which is what is required by my state. But I've heard, I think it's CS2 or something. It's it sounds like a higher level disinfection. You can autoclave these if you want to. I don't happen to have an autoclave. Anything with alcohol ruins these. Alcohol will melt that glue right off, and you'll end up with very soft tweezers. Ask me how I know that. So barbicide does not contain alcohol. You're going to look for your ingredients. Marvicide does contain alcohol. I don't know if Cavicide does or not. You just have to look at the ingredients. I also use, what's the other one I have? I do have Cavicide, but I never use that for these. I really just use my barbicide. And when I throw them in my barbicide, I throw them tip up so I'm not dulling my tips. But these are the tweezers. These are the only tweezers I use for anything in my studio anymore. It's for hair removal. They're a little bit pointed, so it makes it, sometimes I can just use the tip for an ingrown hair. Just, you know, the occasional one if I'm doing bikini waxing or Brazilian. All right, so yeah, that's how I clean them up. All right, you're not treating the entire brown spot, the entire spot of hyperpigmentation. You see how I have lines drawn on these? You're gonna basically paintbrush about 2 or 3 millimeters apart from each line. All right, I'm having a hard time actually changing where I am. And make sure you are extending beyond the area of the pigmentation by a few millimeters. So instead of starting right at the edge and going to the other edge, you're going to, you see that? You're going to extend those lines a little bit past your pigmentation. So remember when I was talking about treating things that were bigger than a pencil eraser? That's what I'm showing you here. You see those little tiny circles that I've quote unquote treated? What I'll do is I'll take a really good picture, before picture. I'll treat a small area, and then I will have them come back in. And if it treated, great, let's go ahead and keep working on that pigmentation. But if it didn't do anything, it's way better than having this gigantic brown spot on the side of your face. The other thing I want you to notice in this picture is I go 90 degrees. So this way, and then I'll go this way, and then I'll do a 45 degree, like this way, when I'm treating. All right? So paint like a brush. Cynthia, who is your client? If there are fits 1 through 3, you'll do 90 to 100. If there are fits, or excuse me, back up. If there are fits 1 through 3, you can treat them at 150. If there are fits 4 through 6, 80, 90, 100 volts. All right, so that's why you always need to know who you're treating. And that's why, honestly, you guys drive me crazy when you send me a message and say, what setting should I use? Like, okay, you got to use your brain. Who are you treating? That's what I need to know. I need to know who you're treating. And I don't need to know who you're treating. You need to know who you're treating. All right, speed. You are not running a race. I use about this speed. Notice that I'm braced. I'm not just driving on their skin like crazy. I'm bracing with my finger. And I said, use their face, like brace on them before you start working on them. All right, so in the manual it says low and high. Should we be doing numbers? Okay, I talked about this. There's my little cheat sheet. Where'd my cheat sheet go? Is this what you're referring to? Low and high? This chart, that entire manual is written for people of if it's 1 through 3. That is why I want you to ask these 5 questions so that you can figure out what setting to use. Okay, Anna, definitely go back and read the beginning. and sorry you missed it, but. Okay, Darcy, what was your aha moment? I want to know this. That's what the manual was written for? Okay, yeah. If you look at this cheat sheet, which is part of your manual that you get, look what it says, intensity. Look what's typed, not what I've written. But intensity says 150, 150, 150, 150, 150. What did I write above it? You read it? 80 to 100 for fits 4 through 6. Excellent. So for 1 through 3, 150 all day long. And the reason why you can treat them at that higher voltage is they don't have a lot of what in their skin? Yes, melanin. So if it's 4 through 6, who has more melanin, melanogenesis is stimulated by what? 4-letter word. Starts with an H. Heat. Exactly. So that's why you've got to think about who is my client. What is their fit? What is their heritage? That is going to determine for every single lesion you see, that's going to, except skin tags, that's going to determine your setting. All right? Okay, I think you guys are starting to get it. Are you getting it? I hope so, because like I only have 9 more slides left. Okay, awesome. So did I miss any questions? Let me just see if I can. Okay, speed. Cynthia, I think I answered that. Tiny pigment close to the lip on a fit 2. Anyone who is sensitive, has thin skin, so let me talk about sensitivity. Let's go to the lip line. I would turn it down and just treat it at 100. Do that little bit. DPM, getting there, I promise. Okay, so flat hyperpigmentation. Your, let's say we're treating Samuel L. Jackson, and instead of the DPNs, he's got flat hyperpigmentation. What setting are we going to use? Oh, we love all of you. Yes. Which probe are we going to use? Yes. Insulated. Insulated for pigmentation. That's okay, Maria. You've got to think about not conductor. You need to think about what. And what is... Maria, do you already have the machine? Okay. Do you have access to this thing? It should have come with your machine. Pull that out and just read them through. I don't know if you're just like me, but literally I didn't look at this until like a year ago because I just didn't. And I finally was like, all right, I got to download all of those stupid things because I'm a trainer and I need to be able to give it to them. So we're just talking about flat hyperpigmentation. So a black client, flat hyperpigmentation, they're using insulated. We're using a low voltage. What do we need a conductor for the electricity? Yes, perfect. I love it. And what technique are we using? Are we using a pencil tapping or a paintbrush? Awesome. Perfect. So you know how to totally treat pigmentation, right? You don't have to like I said, you're not breaking any speed records. You're not woo, 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 woo. You are slowly and deliberately painting a line over that pigmentation. All right, love it. Think I say more about pigmentation? Yes. So the idea behind how we treat is to leave some good skin in between the areas that you're treating. So this is why you're not taking pigmentation and literally annihilating it by like coloring it. And I've seen other machines, that's how they do it. That's not how we do it as ThermoClear operators. Sometimes when you're treating like this, you'll actually see the pigment rolling up onto your probe. Don't go crazy and say, oh my God, it's all coming off right now, because you can end up hypopigmenting your client or hyperpigmenting your client. Just know that you've seen this pigment rolling up. That's probably going to be a really good treatment. There are some spots of pigmentation that will not move, and it's probably dermal, and it's probably melasma. So melasma is one of those things. You can always do a little test spot, but I've never had good luck with it. And if you look at melasma underneath like a scope, you can actually see all of the blood flow. You do not want to treat any pigmented areas that contain blood, because that's something, especially if it's a little spot, that's something you want to send to your derm, okay? After a few minutes, you'll definitely want to check the areas that you've treated and make sure they're turning dark. You know, that dark coffee ground color that it gets? If it's turning dark, that once again will signal that that's probably going to be a really good result. If it hasn't changed at all, you, number one, either didn't use enough voltage, long enough time, enough conductor, or any conductor, because sometimes we forget. So you want to double check where you're treating and just make sure that it looks dark. If you're like, damn it, I totally forgot a conductor, go ahead and retreat it. But if you've treated it, you feel like you did a good job, you just tell your client, you know what, that looks dermal, and I'm an esthetician. I can't, this machine won't even reach into the dermis. So probably it's not going to work. But let's see. You never know. All right. Make sure that you mention to your client that these areas will continue to turn dark, almost a coffee ground color, and will exfoliate off in their own time. You do not want to give your client anything to heal this. Your skin, rather, their skin needs to just exfoliate it off in its own time. So this means you're not going home and sending them home with some sort of an exfoliant. They need to make sweet love to their face until that falls off, and really after too, right? Advise them not to pick, and that they can cover that area with makeup after 24 hours. So in my opinion, this is the treatment that that gives the most drastic, like hiding out from your friends result. Capillaries can, if you do enough of them, but usually the ones that are right around the nose, if you just do a few on the chin, they usually look pretty good the next day-ish. If the only time they need to use antibiotics is if it looks infected. They're not to use aloe, they're not to use antibiotics, they're not to use anything on their skin other than pink Caladryl, not the clear stuff, the pink stuff, because the pink stuff contains calamine lotion, which is very soothing to the skin, and it contains Benadryl, which is an antihistamine. And sometimes that's what your client's skin looks like. It looks like they've been bitten by a bug. If you've just treated one or two areas, you'll see that little swelling. So the only time they need antibiotic cream or ointment is if it looks infected. This is actually an important thing and something I wasn't going to tell you. This is usually part of my whole training. After 24 hours, call your client. This is called the love call. You call them and you say, hey, I just want to see how you're doing. Because they're probably, Lisa, go on Amazon. I'm sure it's there. Have it shipped to you. Stop searching. And I know that also have it at jet.com. So if you shop on Jet. Anyway, do the love call. Check in with your client. How are you doing? Because they're going to be like, holy crap. My nose looks like it's got even more capillaries than it started with. That's actually completely normal. What I have done is I have dehydrated the water out of your capillaries, and I've left the iron oxides. If you think about it, something that rusts is iron, and it looks dark, that rusty color. That's what you're seeing right now. After a few days, your macrophages, which are like the garbage disposals of your body, are going to come and destroy that for you and get rid of it for you. You don't want to accelerate healing, and that's a good point because everyone knows I also sell Soluma panels. I don't use it after this. Especially for something that contains capillaries, what does LED do? It increases circulation. Do you want to increase circulation in an area where you're just treating capillaries? The answer is no. Okay? Perfect. So don't do anything. Give them some Caladril. If you want to give them some in a little tiny container, let's see if I have some of those containers here. I always buy these at the show. Hold on. Okay, I always buy these at the show, and this is why. Dr. Jeff's, they have these little tiny containers. Open them up. This little thing comes off. I always have gloves on when I take it off. Fill it with some Caladril and give it to them for free. You can't sell or repackage and sell something. You can certainly give them a little sample because they're not going to need an entire bottle of that stuff. They might need some later. Yeah, just little samples. You could probably get that stuff in little, like these little things, the little packets. I wonder if they have Caladril in those. They don't need a lot. They just tiny bit. Advise them not to pick. They can cover with makeup in 24 hours. And somebody said this. It's very true. As long as your client's skin is pink, using that Caladril actually is almost like a little concealer. And it will help to kind of mask that treatment area. All right. Any questions about hyperpigmentation? I see some typing. No. Awesome. Okay, no questions. Let's move on. Okay, so far, we have only been using this box, the insulated. If your client was allergic to nickel, what would you do? Chelsea was just in the next room telling me the answer. Gold. Now check this out. These are 5s. You can get these as 3s. So you can get them as thin as you need them. All right. Let's move on. Seborrheic keratoses and DPNs you are going to treat the same way. Anyone care to tell me which probes I'm going to use? Okay, stainless. Or what? I didn't even tell you this. So not insulated. So anything that sticks out, and Anna, you might have missed this. Anything that sticks out from the skin, you use stainless. So sticks starts with an S, stainless starts with an S. So sebaceous hyperplasia are still flat. They may be raised, but they don't stick up. Seborrheic keratoses look like they've been stuck to your skin, as do DPNs. They're just very small, but they are raised. Same thing with skin tags. You can also use the gold. All right, so if your client has an allergy to nickel, you can use gold for everything. If you have a client that comes in and they have mostly stuff that sticks up and a capillary, you can use this. But that's an advanced move, kind of like playing with a cat that has big sharp claws. That's an advanced move. So do this once you have some experience under your belt. DPNs stand for dermatosis papulosa nigra. Those are the little black things that Samuel L. Jackson has on his face. So, stainless or gold for everything else that we're talking about. Remember, you do need to add a conductor for electricity because even though a seborrheic keratosis has the word sebum kind of in there, it does not have sebum in it that I know of. If it does, it's not enough to conduct the electricity because those things are like a piece of asphalt on your face. That thing is there and it's big and it needs a larger probe. What size are these? 6s, which is bigger than the 3s. Samuel Jackson, Morgan Freeman, they all need me, right? They all need us. Because you guys are well educated now. All right, so seborrheic keratoses and dermatosis nigra, or populosa nigra, you need to use a conductor for electricity and a big enough probe to conduct that electricity. All right. Yeah, does Samuel L. Jackson have those too, or is it just Morgan Freeman? I can't remember. I'm going to have to Google that later. Okay. Somebody needs to Google that for me now and just tell me. Okay, whatever. Samuel L. Jackson just has like the best voice, but so does Morgan Freeman. Okay, let's keep going. I digress. With seborrheic keratoses, you will be using a stainless probe. Remember, these stick out. And you're going to be using the picky scratch technique. All right, I just made that up. Picky scratch. This is now a seborrheic keratosis or a DPN, and it's very much blown up. What you're going to do is without current or with, it doesn't really matter, you're going to stick the probe right at the very edge of this. You're not going outside of this onto good skin. You are right at the edge of that SK. You're going to kind of poke it down at a 90-degree, and you're going to flick. So maybe we should start calling it the pick and flick. Is that better than the picky scratch? Kind of like the pick and flick. So you're going to pick and flick all the way around the outside of this until the entire thing is treated. And what usually happens is that thing turns a little bit gray. Sometimes these are a very black color, and sometimes on like the super white clients, you'll have black and almost just flesh colored. I almost think those are maybe just baby keratoses and they're getting to the point where they're going to be black. I don't really know. I've seen both colors, and I've definitely had both colors that I've treated, and they turn more gray looking, I guess, for lack of a better term. DPNs are usually a much smaller, and this is where the beauty of ThermoClear comes in. You're not like going crazy. So this is a really blown up DPN. You're not going, woo, and like going off into the great blue yonder and like all over your client's face. I was just worried that I just fell on myself, but I didn't. Here we go. So you're going to use a very controlled technique where your small motions. So the point is not to go crazy. Yes, barnacles, Cynthia, yes, those are seborrheic keratoses. Dry, raised. The actinic keratoses are flat, and they just look like dry patches on the skin. You're not treating those ever. So raised, barnacles, crusties, the things that make you not want to kiss your grandmother's cheek, you're not quite sure what you're kissing, that's the stuff you're treating. Start at the outside of the keratosis and with current on, and that's how I usually do it. You'll tap, you'll pick and flick from the outside to the inside toward the center. Yep, from the edge to the center, perfect. And you're going to kind of, once again, go in a circular motion toward the center. So toward the center, oh my gosh, it's so hard to do. I'm going to do it backwards. I hope you can still see my pencil. So you're going to flick toward the center, and then you're just going to keep toward the center. It's very tempting with no current to take your probe and kind of scrape that off because it's literally just hanging off by threads right now. Don't do it. Don't take your tweezers and scrape that off. That material is a fabulous Band-Aid, and that is going to protect your client's skin as it flakes off and heals, all right? It's imperative that your client wears sun protection, especially once that keratosis falls off. I did not make this as a slide, but my aunt, who is very, I'm just going to say non-compliant. I'm going to just show you this picture. So the top, she called it her rug. It literally was the size of my thumb. It was so big. But look at the bottom. It looks awesome, but you see that little bit of hypopigmentation because she never wears sunscreen, and I am so tortured by that. But what can I do? She's almost 70 years old. She's not going to start now. But that, and she's so excited. She'd rather have that little bit of hypopigmentation than that big black thing on the side of her face. The blanching happens pretty much immediately, Cynthia, all right? Make sure you're using a conductor for electricity, and these don't usually hurt because you're not treating anything that has any nerve endings. The only time they hurt is if you accidentally go outside of where that keratosis is. And it blanches immediately. Just keep it nice and wet as you're treating it. Leave it alone. Probably my favorite thing to treat. I'm not going to lie. They're so satisfying, and they make a huge difference to your client. In fact, true story, I had a client that came in last week, today's Monday, for her facial, and she's really good friends with my mom. And my mom had, notice the tense, had a very huge seborrheic keratosis right here in her neck rolls. It's starting to look a little bit too much like my mother, I'm discovering. Anyway, whenever she'd talk or turn or whatever, and my mom all the time, this one woman, she said, I always notice that thing. When are you going to get rid of that thing on your mom's neck? And I've totally treated it already. She actually was a model for me. This is how, yes, Maria, we totally did. And it looks awesome. I'll have to send you those pictures. But yeah, it's gone and it looks awesome. She's super excited. It's totally gone. She's in Oklahoma right now. I'll get a picture when she comes back. But this friend of my mom's was pointing out to me, her daughter, that my mom has this thing. So it was big and noticeable and grody. All right. So sun protection, super, super important. And that actually leads me to something that I wasn't really planning on treating. I send my client, okay, so if I'm doing a 1 to 3 thing, I'll moisturize them, I'll put on their sunscreen, and then I'm actually, I don't know which way my hair is going today. I'll wipe off the area I'm going to treat with some toner and just treat that. So I'm only sending them out with no sunscreen. No, Lisa, and I'll get to current in just a second. I'm only sending them with no sunscreen on those couple of areas. For somebody that I'm doing more of a whole face, I tell them before they come in, bring a wide-brimmed hat and wear it the entire day, because I'm not putting sunscreen over somebody's face that I've treated. They need to wait 24 hours, right? So current, no, current is 150. And you can pretty much use that current for anyone, no matter their Fitzpatrick skin type. You can turn it down a little bit if somebody is feeling pain, but DPNs and especially keratoses, they don't usually feel that. And this is something, especially for my mom, I numbed it. You remember that, Maria? She was very nervous. Yeah, so Calgel and SPF. I don't put SPF over what I've treated, though. I just don't. I have them wear a big brim hat and go home, and today you're hanging out at your house. You're not in the sun. That's my instructions to my client. All right, so seborrheic keratoses and DPNs, you're at 150 volts. You can do it a little bit lower if you want to, especially for your higher Fitzpatrick skin types. Yes, barnacles are seborrheic keratoses. You are using the stainless probe. And this is a 6. Okay? Any questions about seborrheic keratoses? About dermatosis papulosa nigra or DPNs? All right, good. We're almost to the end, guys. I only have like 6 more slides. All right, skin tags. So, this is another thing where it doesn't really matter who we're treating, because skin tags, you are only treating the skin tag. You are only using stainless or gold with skin tags. You need to be delivering a lot of energy to treat a skin tag. You are using a conductor for electricity, and you are using 250 volts. This is the only time you are pushing that thermal low one more time to get it to say high. The only time. You're never going to treat anything else on 250, ever. So, get that in your brains. Yes, stick out. Good job. Skin tags are a little bit different. They don't have any blood supply. They don't have nerve endings. They don't have sebum. You need to use a conductor. but you need to use more of a tapping technique on the stalk and then more of like a pick on the rest of the tags. So there, where's my skin tag? There's my skin tags right there. Some skin tags are very bulbous. Some are more like hill-shaped. Even for small tags, but you can do it at 150 if you want. But with small tags, the only thing you're touching is the tag. You are never, ever, ever touching good skin. You know what I mean when I say that? You might have to take your tweezers, pull that tag off to the side, just tap that stalk, move it to the other side, just tap that stalk. This is when it's really handy to use the pedal-free operation of a ThermoClear Pro. Because I'm sorry, I'm holding this in one hand, I'm holding my probe in the other hand. Okay, I'm already like firing way too many nerve endings in my brain. And now I'm having to figure out when to push a pedal. So I'll usually take my tweezers, move it to the side, tap. All right, take it off, there's no current. Move it, tap, because the current's turning on automatically. All right. So once you've completely treated the stalk, that's the only place that might have a little bit of nerve ending, a little bit of sensitivity. The minute you're done treating that, go for it. Pretend my head is a skin tag. You can tap everything, and they're not going to feel a thing. This is an instance when it might be handy instead of this 6S. If you got a really big pencil eraser size skin tag, you might want to go ahead and buy some 10S's because that is a stiffer. Remember, the size, the number determines the thickness. So it's the difference between your little 6, see that little tiny tip there, and the 10. All right, they're big. And those are super handy for those big skin tags. And honestly, I had one client come in. I probably spent more time on one of her skin tags than like the other 10 that I treated. It was so big, and I was cursing myself because I was out of those F10S's. All right. Once the stalk is treated, you'll want to use a combination of tapping and scratching until the actual tag shrivels up like a raisin. So it's going to start really big. It's also very soft usually when it's big. And as you tap, it starts to get stiffer and stiffer, and it almost feels like you're tapping a pencil eraser. Once it gets to that really hard phase, you're done. You don't need to treat it anymore. Just make sure you've treated all the way around it, the whole back. Once you get to that point, leave it alone. It's going to turn very dark or black. It will fall off on its own in a day or two. If it's in a super sensitive area like the groin, under the arm, on a bra strap line, you can cover it with a Band-Aid to protect it from rubbing. Definitely use a little Caladryl because that's going to keep it from itching. But that's how you treat a skin tag. What's going on next? Okay, I'm going to go back. So we've talked about who we're treating. We've talked about what we're treating. We've talked about which probe you use, and you are determining that from this question. What are you treating? You've also talked about if you're using a conductor or not, and you've learned that from what you're treating. You've also determined how you're treating, and you've determined that from what you're treating. So I've said this before, if you don't know what you're treating, you can't answer the last 3 questions, so you can't treat them. So you've got to know who and what. And those are the 2 biggest questions you need to answer in order to figure out the answers to your last 3 questions. A couple of things I didn't go over. For example, I didn't go over cholesterol deposits. I never do them. You're basically poking a hole in it with your insulated probe. If it's really hard, you can go to a stainless probe just because it's a little bit bigger, and then you are literally just muscling out that cholesterol deposit. I just don't want to do that. And if there's something you really don't want to treat, don't offer it. Just don't even put it on your menu. You can say, I offer capillary and cherry angioma treatments, period. You don't have to do anything else if you don't want to. I only offer skincare treatments or skin tag treatments, period. So choose. What are you not comfortable doing? If it's something you're not comfortable doing yet, offer it at a later point when you get a little bit more comfortable with it. A lot of people like to practice on a non-paying customer, also known as their husband, before they offer this treatment. Very few husbands are actually good candidates because they're pansies, and they start crying about 2 seconds into the treatment. So the best person to treat is one of your greatest clients that doesn't have a lot of money. Just say, you know what, I've got this new treatment. I'd like to get some experience, and I'm wondering if I could treat you. That person is so grateful, and they'll usually be one of your biggest advocates when it comes to recommending this treatment. You have to make them promise not to tell whoever they're telling that they got that treatment for free, though. Your sister, your mother, unless it's my mother, because she was awesome. There is always a client that could really benefit and will be a business card for you. You can also, I'll get to you in just a second, Cynthia, you can also offer a special. If you just want to get time and treatment time under your belt, and it's something you've treated some people, so you have some comfort with it, but you're not quite ready to offer $150 treatments, offer a sale. Get on your Instagram, get on your Facebook, do some before and after pictures, steal mine if you want to, I could care less. Anything on the ThermoClear and ThermoLow users that I've posted, use them. And just say, I'm offering a new service, and I'd like to try this treatment. Anna, perfect. You did a sale for a month, and you had really good results. I actually have just created this really fun little graphic. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if you can read that. Is that backwards for you guys, or can you actually read it? What it says is, spots on your face, stop being a leopard, and come to have a ThermoClear treatment instead. During the month of October, all ThermoClear treatments are 25% off. Pro Skin Studio. Do you want to know how to make really awesome graphics like that? Adobe Spark Post. I have made some kick-ass ones. Look at this one. Turkey neck bumming you out? I have a solution. Pro Skin Studio. Victoria DN Peptides. What's another one I've done? These are all Adobe Spark Post. Yeah, it's like $10 a month, but it's worth it. Breaking out on your forehead, picking up safe shampoo and conditioner this weekend. Want me to grab you a few bottles? Email me before Friday to place your order, and I'm able to put my my logo in there. So I'll write that down for you guys. ADOB. Let's see if I can type. So yeah, offer a sale if you want to. There's a popular waxing educator that when she was trying to get her wax numbers down, so she was super fast, she offered waxing for a very reduced price on Fridays, all day. It was just doing Brazilian waxing. So do like a ThermoClear Thursday or a ThermoClear, probably ThermoClear Thursday because of the TH thing. You know, and try to, you know, fill your book that way. All right, were there other questions I was supposed to get to that I haven't? Actually, let me finish. I have a few more slides, and then we'll get to that. With these tips, you will be well on your way to treating your clients safely and with a great deal of skill. Don't forget, everybody's skin is different, and it's important to think about what you're doing rather than following some cheat sheet that tells you what to do. If you take the time to systematically think through your steps, you'll be able to make decisions that will help you treat your clients safely and with a minimum of discomfort. 5 questions, right? If you have further questions, please feel free to reach to ThermoClear directly at thermoclearusa@yahoo.com. And here's why I say this. I am a working esthetician. I am a mom. I am a spa owner. I own Pro Skin Guru, and I am massively busy. I also am the admin for ThermoClear and ThermoLow users on Facebook, which is a great place to ask questions. There's the link. All you have to do is type in ThermoClear and ThermoLow users, and you'll find that group on Facebook if you're not already a member of it. Is anyone on here not a member of that group yet? Because join it. There are a lot of ThermoClear trainers in there. Jackie, join that. Put in a request, and I will totally say yes. And there are also some people that have been using ThermoClear for a long time. Lorenzo is in there. He was the original creator of this piece of equipment. Olga is in there. She's the owner of this company. So feel free to post in there. There are so many times when I'm either having family time, I'm just not available, or if you send me a text message, all of a sudden it's like 40 text messages down and I just don't remember to get to it, okay? Everyone, join, all right? Keep in mind, like I said, a mom esthetician, I'm not sure that many of you comprehend the sheer volume of questions I get. And I get questions like, how do you treat this? Go to your manual, look it up, think about the 5 questions now that you have that as a skill, post it on the Facebook group. I am trying to be really good about protecting my family time. I know somebody was trying to get information on a weekend, and I saw it and I just didn't answer it because I knew I was going to be doing this today, and it's better to go onto that Facebook group because that's where people are going to help you more than me. And it doesn't mean I'm a jerk. I'm trying to not be a jerk. I just am trying to tell you that I sometimes just don't have the time. And I'm the only person that works for Pro Skin Guru. Hi, I am Pro Skin Guru. Chelsea is amazing, and she's not an esthetician. She was a cosmo. She apprenticed for cosmetology, and she's the person that keeps me organized and tells me to do stuff, but sometimes I don't even listen to her. Sorry, Chelsea, I love you. Love ya. The best way to reach me is email, JENN, at proskinguru.com. We'll write that for you. The reason that's the best way to reach me is I can tag that as an unread message, and I can flag it. If you text me, if you send me a Facebook message, yeah, good luck with Facebook because that just becomes a poop show. Try to call me. I'll give you that number, 508-505-4878. The best time to reach me is when I'm driving to work and driving home. So leave a message. I might not call you back that